For the first time, my base was in order, and the neighborhood had returned to the state before I locked myself away to improve my stats. But the clock had started until the dead wandered in from the surrounding area through meta events and migration, undoing all my progress. Did it have to be this way? The answer is no. Using knowledge on zombie movement, anyone can create a stranglehold on the CBD, constricting and potentially stopping the flow of undead from those infested streets. To do this, we can use the fact that unloaded zombies, the red dots, are unable to damage structures or furniture, including the ones we've placed. And when they move as groups, the white dots, they can't walk past them either. So if we place furniture between pre-existing choke points and leave the area, no zombie will ever pass through it again, letting us slowly cut away the CBD. Applying this to my situation, I can use the Ohio River as an anchor and divide the area that needs to be blocked into the northern, western, and southern regions. For the north, the long fences and apartment buildings serve as the perfect choke points, giving two distinct areas for me to blockade, leaving only a small wrench in the works: the thousands of undead from insane population settings. It might not work, but it was my best plan so far. Arriving at the Ohio River, it was time to take the first step. As I needed to place the furniture by the buildings, I tried to awaken those dormant within. With the dead roughly clustered, I set them alight. They posed a threat early on, but soon my wide berths became uncontested. I could walk calmly as the horde began to dwindle in numbers. With the situation under control, I took the opportunity to grind my aiming skill. The gunshot reached further than any shout, and my underestimation of their presence became apparent. The buildings being alight wasn't ideal, but as I was far away from anything important, it was okay. I had more relevant issues. Close to the aflame buildings, my yells pulled out what dead I could as they and the following dead burned into the evening. The area clear, I grabbed a rattan couch and made the first dent in finally stopping the zombie threat. The day's efforts left my nerves frayed, and the banging in a new apartment complex was too much to deal with. So I left. Cut off from the front, performed a U-turn before fleeing back the way I came. Closer to home, I enjoyed the fruits of my labor as the groups thinned and I made it back with little resistance. My efforts to gain weight finally resulted in my loss of the underweight trait, and after cleaning my wound, I fell back onto the compound for my answer to blocking the streets. Gathering furniture that didn't produce noise to place, I collected tables, appliances, single-seater couches, TVs, and their stands into the night. Hopefully yesterday's efforts had paid off, and I could afford to take the quiet approach. There were more along the street than last time, but not enough to pose a threat, so I continued my mission. Wanting to keep a low profile, I started clearing the dead. I needed to use another Molotov. Despite all I had burned yesterday, I accrued a sizable following. Why did that not work? Okay. Wanting to wrap up quickly, I killed any stragglers wandering in and turned on those already aflame. All gone, started on the northern section first with next to no difficulties. As I was close to the apartment complex, I decided to grab some furniture from inside to stretch my resources further. Fearing a fight while heavily encumbered, I tried limiting myself to a couple pieces at a time. Like always, soon broke that rule. The northern section was complete, leaving only the west and south to do. The search for more furniture drove me deeper into the apartment complex, where I found the consequence of my lackadaisical approach to fire. As in a flame zombie followed me out, new fires would have started close by, but the sunset delayed the issue till tomorrow. Unlike yesterday, there was little resistance to my return, though I took great care to not venture too close to the mall with thousands of undead dormant within. After a couple of zombies, safely inside. After filling my van's boot and gas tank, I headed to Black Liquor to stock up on bourbon to the detriment of the dead. The area clear, I went inside, grabbed what I could, and left for the apartments once more. With 2 days of intense clearing, the scraps didn't stand a chance. So I loaded up on furniture only to be caught out by new arrivals and encroaching fire. The risk to my newly fitted barricades was minimal, if I could move quickly, as fire doesn't spread when I'm not in the area. Piece by piece, and dead by dead, I slowly built the wall into the afternoon. Growing exhaustion required me to take a rest before getting back to it. That would be a problem. I tried to stop the dead from colliding with my barricade, but found myself with another horde to burn and my wall aflame, forcing me to watch as my work unraveled before me. In the end, the damage to the furniture was minimal, but the gunshot cost me the day as it was too risky to work under moonlight. The streets nearby were even clearer. The same couldn't be said for near my base, with the noise of the van leaving a group just outside my walls. Before dealing with the dead, I cleaned myself up and noticed I was losing weight and at risk of becoming underweight again, so I stuffed myself with more junk food before leading the dead away. Returning to my car park of ashes and buildings of flames. This time I pulled in what I could from the nearby township and those near my walls to buy more time to wrap up the barricades. The dead were more painful than ever, with each step meaning more damage to the walls I'd worked so hard to erect. Aggression and frustration were today's words. As I used indestructible TVs to fortify the southern wall. You just aiming for that. I'm here. And reclosed the northern. Having run out of furniture in the van, I resorted to searching amidst the ruins of nearby units to fill in the remaining gaps. My scuffling caught the attention of nearby Zeds. Even with the sun setting, I gathered another horde to burn, aiming to benefit the next gap I intended to block. Only a small distance from some of my most extensive burn-offs, I maintained a steady stream of new undead, dragging the excursion into the night. The 27th commemorated the return of the underweight trait and a chance to assess the damage my absence had left. Appearing intact, I made a quick getaway before any dead could break through and clocked the unfinished area as done. Whilst not perfect, I'd tightened the noose on the CBD. So long as I stayed away from the barricades, it was permanent. My return was marred by the dead, but after giving them the slip, I could finally give in to tiredness. After a hard night, I took the day to focus on myself and my base. Spotting seed-bearing radishes, I harvested them all and took the opportunity to read and watch cooking content, aiming to prepare some high-quality meals. Nothing beats the underweight trait like beer and potato soup, random combination pasta, or potato stir-fry. Even with the high nutrition, the meals still lack calories, so I fell back on my alcohol reserves to make the difference. A foggy day dissuaded any notion of venturing out, so I continued my abuse of alcohol before gathering more furniture, eating, and topping off the day with more exercise and reading. The next phase of my plan was afoot. Both my base and I were ready for it. With the last full gas can emptied, I left for the gap between the fences. At the large ash pile in the car park, I gathered a new horde from the same area and combined them with those from the car dealership and bar. The furniture out the front wasn't the only thing that caught my eye. It also had a high quality water barrel I could take, but only after I emptied my van. So after awakening those in the dealership and setting the following horde alight, I found myself ready to build my barricade. Pulling up close by, I dealt with any drawn dead before placing everything. With only a couple of gaps left, I'd finish tomorrow. The trend continued from previous days, as I encountered no zombies on the road I was once forced to retreat out of, but needed to swerve constantly near my home. But if I got caught up with short-term safety, I'd never have long-term security from the dead. So after exercising, slamming back a couple of bourbons, and a drunk sleep, I was back at the Black Saddle. I had to be strategic with my yelling. Near the building and deeper into the township was okay, but those close to my wall threatened to damage it if I got their attention. Another horde wipe, grabbed the water barrel and a table from the front. I usually avoid anything that produces noise, but a few drawn stragglers weren't a threat this early in the day. Oh no. There was no doubt in my mind. If I stayed too long or got stuck, the waves of approaching death would end me and my wall. Shit. If I unloaded the area, they would collide harmlessly with my placed furniture. As I escaped, every street had dead wandering towards the alarm. I needed to consider the road barricaded for the foreseeable future, so I tried to salvage what I could of the day. Any dent in the northern Zeds would be more meaningful than ever. Their deaths would have another nice bonus, with the nearby liquor store being clear to raid. With my growing dependence on alcohol for calories, I needed anything I could get. I failed to empty the front, let alone the whole building, but the ethanol would fuel me for a while. Feeling good about the day, I downed 2 bottles before heading home. For some reason, I missed the relationship between drunkenness and tiredness, and struggled to make my way home. Wait, does it actually make your driving laggy? Like wait, doesn't me pressing right? Now. Oh. Aware of the delay, I slowly returned home with minimal scrapes. The increasing tiredness meant a fight was risky, so I snuck inside to drink more. My morning was spent replacing one of my sink barrels with a better version, only to find that with a full barrel, the sink lacked water. Replacing the sink did nothing, but after I took measurements, I realized my error. With no rain forecast, I watered my thirsty plants before exercising and reading the fishing book into the night. I was no longer feeble or underweight, but that didn't mean I'd won my fight against my weight. After finishing fishing, I was ready to grab more gas. Rather than disconnecting my generator and reconnecting it at the gas station, I chose to grab another one from the "you store it" lot. Going fireless, I used my shotgun into the afternoon. Only to realize the quantity of undead was untenable with only shells. Mopping up the scraps with my fire axe, I raided the loft. The third unit needed me a generator, so I left for the gas station encumbered. My uncontested arrival was either due to my earlier gunshots or my effort to clear the nearby mall. Regardless, I was happy to reap the rewards. Before calling it a day, I remembered a fossil oil truck in the mall car park, so I grabbed the cans to gather more fuel. Despite the hour, I was still wide awake, leading me to power through exposure survival and induced sleep myself. Liquor was good for calories, but was limited. I needed something else, so I crafted the wooden box straps I'd seen on TV. Placing them far away and splitting them apart, I used worms as bait to catch birds and only needed to wait to reap my rewards. My next step was to block the intake of dead directly to the west. I had 3 options for where to build, but that decision was for another day.